right, welcome back to Impossible Versus Matches, the podcast where we take pop culture characters from all over fiction and make them come together in a versus movie type crossover. If you don't know how we do things by now, you've got like 29 other episodes to watch. Join with me for the first time on the show is my good friend Kyle. Kyle, say hello.
Hello, people. How's it going?
This is, like I said, this is Kyle's first time on the show, and he has got quite the list for me, I believe.
Yes, indeed.
You guys know the show. We each have a list of 50 characters. We're randomizing them, and we're improvising scenarios in which they cross over. Again, this is more of a journey rather than a destination, so it's not who would win, it's why are they fighting. So, with that being said, Kyle, you are brand new on the show. Would you like me to go first? Or would you like to throw it into the ring?
I'll have you go first. Get a kind of feel for everything.
All right. So go ahead and spin your wheel, Kyle.
Spin my wheel.
And tell me who you've got.
So who we've got first today here on the list is Earbud Thawne. And you would probably know him better as the Reverse Flash. If you know the meme, "It was me, Barry. I jerked you off at supersonic speed." That's that character. He's from DC. He's the bad guy Flash. He's just a dick. He hates Flash, and he just does everything to make his life terrible.
Yep. And they always use him as an excuse to rewrite continuity.
Exactly. He's really good for it. Can't die. Dies all the time. He's a weird DC character, so, you know.
All right, fair enough. So Reverse Flash is stepping in, which we have not used too many DC characters, actually. So
I lied to you. I do have 2 DC characters on this list, but
so I've got Frank from F is for Family on Netflix, which is a show I recently watched, and I gotta tell you, going in, I thought it was just going to be like a cheap like Family Guy ripoff,
one of those million adult animations.
Where it's just like let's say the bad word, and then that gets the laughing.
Yeah.
And I figured they'd use like the 70s aesthetic to just be an excuse for like racist and homophobic jokes, which they do.
You get it, but
which they use.
The show is pretty funny, actually.
Yeah, it's a very funny show, and it's a lot deeper than you would think on surface level. Like I loved the first 3 seasons. The most recent one, season 4, I'm not super into.
I haven't watched that one yet. I think I only watched the first 2, but
it has its moments. But hopefully the next season will continue on from that and just be a little bit better. But Frank, for those who do not know, Frank is your everyman dad from the 70s. He works hard, but doesn't seem to get a lot of appreciation for it. He's got a wife and 3 kids.
3 kids.
One is a teenager in like a band. One is his, daddy's little girl, and then there's the middle child that no one cares about. But he progressively, he has his character development. Frank is just grumpy. He thinks that his whole life is just a mess, 'cause it is.
You think you had it hard? I fought Nam.
Yeah, he fought Nam, allegedly.
Was that exploring the show that he might have not actually fought in Nam?
No, I don't think they ever they don't really dive into the Nam.
That'd be a funny side plot.
He uses it a lot as he uses it as a crutch a lot, but he does indeed. His life has definitely fallen from the grace that he once thought that it would have, and it's all expressed in the intro to the show.
Yeah,
where he flies through the air. So basically, a character that thinks that his life has definitely fallen off the wayside and could be better, and he is always super bitter about it, especially since he never seems to be appreciated for any of the things that he actually does.
Yeah.
He also works at an airport, but I don't know if that's going to be important for this, but I see an immediate connection, Kyle.
I think I do too.
Yeah? Are you thinking what I'm thinking, where he wants to make his life better, and now we're going to use Reverse Flash to rewrite
That's kind of around what I was thinking.
Okay. So, all right. So how these two are going to link is middle child gets into comic books. He has some comic books, and I do not know if Reverse Flash was a product of the 70s or not.
I don't know either, but I'm going to go ahead and say no. He feels more like a mid-90s character,
Well, you know what? Let's give that a research.
Let's give that a research, yeah. I'm on it.
Kyle's going to be our research man for the day. But you know what? Even if he's not, this is just for my own curiosity, but if he's not, then I'm just going to say, you know what? Reverse Flash existed in the 70s.
For sure. He made his debut in 1963.
So okay,
this
perfect.
Does work.
This works.
This does work.
So, middle child, super into comic books, and, he brings home some Flash comics, and Frank's like, oh, what the fuck is that?
Yeah, this is what kids are reading these days.
This is what kids are reading. Back in my day, I, read a novel.
I read the Communist Manifesto.
Yeah, I fought in Nam. I didn't have time for any of this. So
he thinks they're a waste of time.
Yeah, he's like, oh, this is stupid, but but the kid's like super into it, and he sees that the kid's super into it, and Frank deep down has like somewhat of an interest in his kids, but so something happens in Frank's life. It doesn't matter, like really like beats him down, and basically he is in the doghouse. He's sleeping on the couch now,
right?
And
drunk.
He is surrounded by these comic books. So he reads and sees. He reads like a Flash and Reverse Flash thing, and I do not know if they probably did not throw the time travel in there back then, but we'll just assume that they did.
They at that time, I bet they did. They all over wacky place.
But I think that's before they started just rebooting everything and being ridiculous like it is right now. But we'll just assume that it is.
Yeah.
So he's like. Well, first off, he idolizes the heroes now because now he's like, wow, they're perfect, they're in shape, they got hair, and like they can just do whatever they want. Maybe it's not
Always
so bad.
Get the girl.
Yeah, so I'm trying to find out a way for them to meet. This is the hard part. Go ahead.
So I was gonna say, with Reverse Flash, maybe within his way of trying to find ways to make life worse for the Flash, he kind of comes across Frank's life and sees it's pretty dog shit. Yeah. And he's like, you know what? This is good source material to fuck with Barry.
Okay.
That's kind of what I'm thinking.
Okay.
As he moves as faster than anything possible.
All right. Well, you know what? I see this.
Yeah.
So Reverse Flash is, is time traveling. He's doing his time travel, thing. Now, usually we don't like to use time travel as a crutch on this show, but this is a character that actively time travels.
Or multi-dimension travels.
Yes, so...
The Speed Force lets you do whatever you want, really.
It's bullshit.
Yeah, it's absolutely bullshit.
It just does whatever you need it to. But, so... I'm going to build off what you said.
Okay.
And he sees Frank's life, and he's like, this guy's miserable. What if he was the Flash? So he travels through, and it basically is like... So this is going to be like a Wonderful Life scenario.
Okay.
Where he ends up swapping the Flash with Frank.
Okay.
So Frank is now the Flash, and he's like, oh, wow, I'm just like those guys in the comic books.
He can run super fast.
I'm fit as fuck. And he's like, and he can, run super fast and everything, but...
Do you think he still goes to his job at the airport and just works really fast at it now?
I have no idea.
I think he would. I think he'd still go do his job at the airport.
He is still, he's swapped dimensions now.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, he's swapped completely, so there is nothing. It's basically like... He thinks that he's dreaming, he's passed out drunk on the couch reading comic books. He thinks, wow, this is what it's like. But then he realizes that this is permanent. He doesn't have his family. Meanwhile, the actual Flash is like, what the hell am I doing here?
Yeah, just another day in the office for comic books.
Right, but they've swapped, completely through just multiverse BS.
Mm-hmm.
So the actual Flash is now the one that's balding with the gut
and the family.
and stuck with the family. And then Frank is like he's fit. He still fought Nam, but
Yeah.
he's like fit and he's running around doing superhero stuff. And he realizes that there's no one to come home to.
Exactly.
And he starts to miss his old life and he wants to go back. But meanwhile, because he is now the Flash, Reverse Flash has to fuck with him.
Exactly.
Or this creates a Reverse Frank. And so they come together, and of course the Reverse Flash, being a dick, is like, I did this to you the whole time.
Yeah. Between him and other villains, he's probably starting to get tired of their BS.
Yeah. And he's like, it was I, Frank. It was I who did this to you.
I switched it.
Aren't you happy now? And he's like, well, no.
Yeah.
So he misses his family now, and
he learns his lesson.
And just like he loses temper, so he's now got to fight Reverse Flash in order to somehow
get back home.
bring things back to the way they were, even though he was miserable before. He's more miserable without his family, because F is for family.
And F is for Flash.
And Frank.
And Frank.
Da-da-da, da-da-da.
No more, that's copyright.
Oh. Okay, and that's what I got. I feel like that actually worked pretty well.
Yeah, that did work.
He gets what he wishes for, but he ends up that he didn't know what he had until it was gone.
Yeah. And then he gets back and he's like, wow, this actually still fucking sucks.
Yep.
At least before I had a six-pack.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, you know what? I still got my wife.
And then he immediately throws out all the comics.
Yeah.
Dumps them in the trash.
He sets him on fire.
Yeah, fire.
And the middle child just has the single tear rolling down his face. And that's
And as one final fuck you, Reverse Flash made his penis smaller in his own universe before he took him back. It was all me, Frank. It was all me.
It was always. So there we go. Reverse Flash versus Frank from F is for Family.
Frank learns it can always be worse.
We really pulled that out. But you know what? It worked.
I think that one worked well.
Yeah, you take a character that can rewrite continuity and a character that wishes he had the rewrite.
Yeah.
Originally, I was thinking, like, what if somehow Frank, like, found Reverse Flash and was like, yo, make my life better.
And he makes it worse in all different ways. I also thought about that.
Does it like the monkey's paw wish. Mm-hmm. But I think the Wonderful Life route where he sees what would happen.
That's more in tune for like kind of the way F is for Family plays out anyways, where you kind of learn what you be happy with what you got. Mm-hmm. So I agree that works better.
All right. So that'll be it for...
I like this glass.
For that scenario. Oh, thank you. Kyle's drinking out of the McDonald's Shrek the Third glass.
Is that Shrek the Third?
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
Even though it's got art on it from Shrek 2.
Yeah, that's what threw me off. I was like, that looks like Shrek. I don't know.
It's Shrek, regardless. But Shrek, by the way, we have used, and he went against Todoroki from My Hero.
Oh, amazing. Yeah.
So that's that scenario. So now it's your turn. Are you ready?
Yeah.
All right. Did you happen to remove that character from your list after?
I did not, but I guess that makes. I think I can still.
Well, after a character gets spun, then you can.
That makes sense.
Take him out, but it's all good.
It even gives you the option to do that. Okay. Well,
so
let me do that right now. So.
While you're doing that, I'm going to spin my wheel and give you a character. Ooh. Okay. Honestly, I was hoping to use this for our Craig episode, but this is Uncle Buck.
Okay.
Have you seen Uncle Buck, Kyle?
I have not seen Uncle Buck.
Kyle has not seen Uncle Buck. So, do you know John Candy?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm slightly familiar with the movie.
Okay. Well, John Candy plays Uncle Buck, and he's like the uncle that the parents are like, oh, geez, we have to have him watch our kids.
Right.
But he's overall, like, a pretty good dude. He's just really goofy. He's making, giant pancakes in the morning.
Right.
He's good with the kids, and, but there's an eeriness about him. Because there's, like, bits where, like, the teenage girl character is, like, gets the punk boyfriend, and and Uncle Buck starts like threatening him with like drills and stuff. And you could easily recut Uncle Buck as a horror movie.
Yeah, there's something dark maybe.
Yeah, there's something in there.
Yeah.
But basically, Uncle Buck is overall your usual John Candy character. He's the,
big lovable goofbag.
Big lovable plus sized goofball who's might not be the brightest, but his heart's in the right place, which is really all of the John Candy characters. But he's wholesome, and everything comes from a good place.
Right.
But other than that, Uncle Buck, he's good with kids. He's good at, he's a good cook. He's a fun cook. He makes giant pancakes and stuff. He seems to be proficient with tools, and he may have a small violent side that isn't really explored in the movie, but you can see it. It's in his eyes.
It always sounded to me when people talk to him that, like, oh, is he like a gangster or something from up in New York? But part of the mob, but I guess that's never explored. I guess I have to watch the movie.
Yeah, you'll have to watch Uncle Buck. That's going to be a good movie night for us at some point.
I agree.
Get everyone together and watch Uncle Buck.
Well, the character I got here is M. Bison from Street Fighter, who, if you're not familiar, he's generally the overall villain throughout the Street Fighter series, always trying to take over the world, and stopped by the main characters, Ryu and Ken. Not much about him. He's a good fighter. He has weird telekinetic powers for some reason. It's never really explained.
Yeah,
but
most of the Street Fighter characters' powers,
just wacky, over the top,
are just kind of there.
And if you've seen the movie, that's not good. He's got that one great line though when he was like, "The worst day ever for you was just a Tuesday for M. Bison."
Yeah,
and it goes like really hard.
Yeah, it was like the day that I killed your parents. For me, it was Tuesday.
For you, yeah.
That was Raul Julia, who is Gomez in the Addams Family movies. Fun fact, he died right after that movie came out.
Really?
Yeah, Street Fighter the movie is his last movie.
Oh man, I feel bad for him.
But you know what? He went out with a bang.
He did.
That's a fun movie though.
Yeah, I've never watched it. I just know that line.
Honestly, Street Fighter the movie is super enjoyable.
It's got a Jean-Claude Van Damme in it, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Yes, it does.
He's Guile.
Yes, that's right.
He looks nothing like Guile, but he's Guile.
And he's also not American.
No, he is not. A lot of his lines are indistinguishable, but that's actually a really fun movie. I like the Street Fighter movie a lot.
Yeah, we'll have to watch it one night.
Yes, I'll have to find it.
I'm sure it's on there.
I'll have to get myself a copy anyway. But yeah. Anyway, so M. Bison versus Uncle Buck. This is why we have the show.
For just these two completely different characters.
What are your pancakes against the Psycho Pistol?
All right, so it's a little cliche and obvious, but M. Bison doing M. Bison does lands in the hometown where Uncle Buck is staying with the kids. He's hungry. His gang's hungry. They're big people. You've seen them. They're enormous.
Yeah.
How are we gonna feed my crew? Well, there's one man, a legend speaks of, who makes ridiculously big pancakes.
One man that legend speaks of. Uncle Buck is now in the Street Fighter lore.
Confirmed. Pay me, Capcom. So, who's he go to? But Uncle Buck himself. Uncle Buck, good at reading people, tends to get a little violent, knows this guy ain't good business. But what is Uncle Buck gonna do, though? That's the question.
What is he gonna do?
Well, I have to imagine he probably tried to reason with the guy,
yeah,
talk him out of it. But then he kind of realizes all he can really do is make the damn pancakes.
Yeah.
That's all he really can do. But from there...
So, right now, what I'm getting is Uncle Buck is friendly enough to provide them the pancakes.
Yes.
And the food. However, they need to... What's going to piss them off about Uncle Buck? Is he just too annoying for them?
Mm-hmm.
And
he's too chirpy, too much noise.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, then what?
Then, what comes next, I have to imagine? Well, let's say, one better, he tries to put a little, rat poison on the pancakes.
Oh, okay.
Try to get him sick, get him out of here.
Yeah, because he has to realize that they're bad dudes, because they're dressed like supervillains. You said that his crew's there, so I'm assuming that he's got Vega and Balrog with them too.
Yes.
Is Sagat there?
Let's say Sagat's not there, because sometimes he's a good guy.
Okay.
Let's say in this situation, he's like a good guy.
Fair enough. He's got the whole, evil squad with him, except for Sagat. So he realizes that they're bad dudes, and he decides to put something in the pancakes. I'm assuming this does not work.
This does not work.
Yep, they're too tough.
Vega says, "I don't eat pancakes." He's all pretty boy while watches figure.
High in carbs.
And then M. Bison clearly sniffed it out, the poison. Yeah. So he challenges him to... He almost challenged him to Mortal Kombat. He challenges him to a Street Fighter match, to where Uncle Buck will now have to fight M. Bison.
All right.
Now the question is what did he do to give himself even a chance?
Well...
You know the character a little better.
Uncle Buck has threatened with drills and other tools, so I assume that Uncle Buck, being a lovable, the lovable oaf type character, is like, look, man, look at me, look at you. This isn't fair.
Yeah.
Fight on my terms. So,
I see what you're saying.
So I think, M. Bison's like, fine, your last wish.
Yeah, your last request.
So this means that Uncle Buck gets prep time. Now, here's where we throw in the twist. Uncle Buck is part of the Hughes-verse, the John Hughes universe.
Okay.
Which means he lives in the same universe as Kevin McAllister from Home Alone. And if you put a John Hughes character and give them prep time, anything's possible.
Anything's possible. Calls up his good friend Kevin for some advice.
Yes, which Macaulay Culkin is also in Uncle Buck as the kid that helps him make the pancakes. So it all comes together.
Learn something new every day.
I think his first movie is Uncle Buck, actually.
Oh,
it's pre-Home Alone.
He's like pretty young then, huh?
Yeah, he's like 4.
He's dating Brenda Song.
No.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Good for him. That's what I said.
Macaulay Culkin coming back.
Coming back.
Proud of him.
He's 40 now.
Proud of our little Macaulay.
Yeah.
Who's now 40 and older than we are.
Yeah.
But no, so basically he's got some prep time and
he gets to pick the competition.
Right. Uncle Buck takes place mostly, I want to say, in like a northern state, and it's very like wintry, so there's snow going on. So he's out there and he's slicked like the road and stuff, so because of course this is a Street Fighter match, so they can't be having anything in a house. It's got to be on a flat surface outside.
Put up the invisible barriers.
Yeah, so he's got to he slicks the road a little bit, because he gets prep time, so he's like, I'll fight. We'll fight tomorrow. So he's prepped it. He's like hidden places for like his power tools and stuff.
Right, anything to give him an advantage.
I'm pretty sure Uncle Buck will still lose this, but the way to give him the edge would be like probably M. Bison just like slips on the ice. So he used that opportunity to give him a few drill holes.
Yeah.
Maybe he puts like pancake batter on the road or something.
Maybe it's all stuck.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's a very cartoony fight.
He ties in Bison's shoes while they're sleeping.
Yeah, exactly. And Bison now just has shoelaces. He always has like those steel like leggings.
Yeah.
Steel like leg parts, but yeah, so basically now Uncle Buck has prep time, and it's like Home Alone level shenanigans, because it's like a John Hughes type movie, so that's Home Alone, that's Ferris Bueller, that's Breakfast Club.
Okay.
There's a whole lot of movies that in the John Hughes, the Hughes-verse, as Craig and I call it.
The Hughes-verse.
It's huge.
Do you think Breakfast Club's a good movie?
Almost.
Okay. I always
it's fun.
I always just think it's not as good as everyone says.
I think it's overrated, but it is still like good and enjoyable.
Gotcha.
But as far as 80s teen movies go, I think that all of the other there's a lot of other better ones.
Sure, yeah.
I think Heathers is probably the top tier.
Heathers is really good. Sorry about that.
But anyway,
back to your regularly scheduled wackiness.
But you know what? We go on tangents all the time. We had a whole horror movie discussion a few days ago. But yeah, so that's how I think that Uncle Buck would have a little bit of an edge over M. Bison. He's not going to win.
No, mainly because M. Bison just kind of levitates over to him anyways.
Yeah, M. Bison is OP, but he didn't think he'd need the levitation right away.
Exactly.
Because you look at Uncle Buck and you're like...
you know.
And, yeah. I don't know if you wanted to add anything else on there. I didn't want to hijack your scenario.
No. I mean, I always figured, you know...
You may need some Uncle Buck help.
Yeah, some Uncle Buck help. It's better to play off each other, I feel, anyways.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no. I mean, M. Bison, you know, everyone knows he's going to win, but maybe it's like one of those, he gets one hit on him.
Yeah, he gets one good hit, and that shocks everyone else.
Yeah.
And it's enough to count as a victory.
Yeah, personal victory before he's vaporized.
Yeah, before he is immediately killed.
Yeah.
Or Macaulay Culkin taps into the Culkin Force.
Much
like the Speed Force.
Much like the Speed Force.
Where he gains advice from his sadistic alter ego, Kevin McAllister. And he starts going in.
He's got a spider.
Yeah, because... Yeah, Macaulay Culkin is super young. He's like 3.
Yeah, okay,
in that movie. He's like... Because I think in Home Alone, he's like
8 or 9.
I think he's like 7.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't keep track of child stars' ages.
Yeah.
But no, I think his first movie is Uncle Buck. Unless he has like a bit part on like a sitcom or something before that. Right. Yeah.
At least for
really little kid.
Yeah.
And there we got
Uncle
Buck versus M. Bison. I'm glad we were able to get one of those out because I don't know if we've had a matchup that ridiculous in a long time. And this carries on a tradition because all of the Street Fighter matchups have been absolutely golden.
Really?
Yes.
I'm glad.
We've had Blanca versus the Jigsaw Killer.
Okay.
Which was fun in itself. That's one of my favorites. We've also had another one I really like was we had Akuma. And he went against B Rabbit, Eminem's 8 Mile character.
Okay.
And Akuma became a rapper for that one.
Perfect.
I love just thinking about that one. But yeah, so that is our episode of Impossible versus Matches. Usually I ask people if they want to plug something or Instagram or whatever, but you can find Kyle either right here on the show, or from his past work on Bearded Beer Bros with What's in Craig's Kitchen and Craig v. Kyle.
Yeah, where I'd appear sometimes on those. Yeah, you know, or catch me at McDonald's eating that Travis Scott burger. Plug.
I'm loving it.
Advertisement.